I met Amanda when I was just 16 years old. She was a year younger, sitting in the back of my chemistry class, always doodling in her notebook. I was the guy who coasted through high school on sarcasm and just enough grades to get by. She was different, bright, kind, and always humming some song under her breath. We dated for a while, high school stuff, holding hands in the hallway, texting until we fell asleep, sneaking into late-night diners. It was young love, but like most young love, it didn't last. After graduation, I enlisted. I didn't really know what I wanted in life, but the military offered structure, pay, and a way out of my small town. I left everything behind, including Amanda. But the universe has a weird way of circling back. 2 years into my service, I got a message on Facebook. It was Amanda. We caught up. Innocent at first. Just, how have you been? And I can't believe it's been this long. But soon those messages turned into phone calls, then video chats. And then she flew out to see me. That weekend felt like something out of a movie. We laughed like we used to, except now the stakes were higher. We were older, bolder, and a little more broken. But it felt right. Within a few months, Amanda was pregnant. We got married shortly after. Everything moved fast, but it felt like the natural progression. We were building a life together. We moved into base housing. I was bringing home steady paychecks. She stayed home with our baby. For the first year or two, everything felt solid. We had late-night takeout on the couch, inside jokes, and pictures of our baby all over the fridge. I thought I had it all. But then came the field op. I was gone for 5 weeks. Nothing unusual, just part of the job. But when I came back, one of my closest friends on base pulled me aside. His voice was low, and his expression was tight. Listen, man. I didn't want to be the one to tell you this, but I think your wife hooked up with Travis while you were gone. Travis was another guy in our unit, someone I thought was a friend. He had always been around during those social nights at my buddy's place. Music, drinks, laughter. Amanda would go too. I never thought twice. At first, I was furious at the accusation. Not even at her, just the fact someone would say that. I confronted her, of course. She denied it immediately, said my friend was lying, that he had a crush on her and was trying to sabotage us. And I believed her, because I wanted to, because the idea of her doing something like that shattered every illusion I had built. I cut off the friend. Told him I didn't want to hear another word. Looking back, that was mistake number 1. After 4 years, I was honorably discharged. We moved back to our hometown, bought a small house, nothing fancy. I landed a job as a warehouse supervisor. Amanda stayed home with our now 2 kids. We were okay, for a while. But around 2015, everything started to change. We argued more. Petty things turned into screaming matches. She seemed bored, irritated, like the life we'd built wasn't enough. Then came the night she went out drinking with her best friend. Said she was staying over at her place to avoid driving drunk. I didn't think much of it, until I playfully grabbed her phone the next morning. She snatched it back a little too fast. But I'd already seen the preview of a text message. It was from her friend. Can't believe you hooked up, you Derek's friend, last night. Don't worry, I won't say anything. My heart dropped. I confronted her again. She cried this time. Said it was a mistake, that she was drunk, that it didn't mean anything. And like an idiot, I forgave her, because we had kids, because I was scared, because part of me still wanted to believe she could be who she used to be. Years passed. Things never really went back to normal. But we limped along. We played happy family in front of others, smiled at school functions, posted cute pictures online. Then, in 2022, Amanda said she wanted to work again. She got a job at a 24-hour warehouse. Graveyard shift. I was supportive. We could use the money. But it started all over again. The secrecy. The late-night giggles on her phone. The sudden change in appearance. New clothes, more makeup, perfume before work. And then, the Snapchats. She left her phone on the couch one night and went to the bathroom. A message popped up from a guy named Jay. I opened it. There was nothing explicit, just a selfie. But the caption read, "Hope I see you tonight." When she came back, I asked her who he was. "Oh, that's just Jay. He's gay. He's harmless." That was her explanation. I wanted to believe her, again. But something in me cracked. Over the next few weeks, I noticed more Snapchats, more secrets, more distance. I finally sat her down and asked her directly, "Are you seeing someone else?" She laughed, dismissed me, said I was being paranoid, but this time, I wasn't backing down. I'd spent years ignoring red flags. This time, I was ready to face the truth, even if it hurt. I called her bluff, told her I had seen the messages, that I knew more than she thought. She didn't even deny it. She just shrugged. "You've never been enough for me," she said flatly. No anger, no remorse, just apathy. That was the moment I truly broke. Years of sacrifice, forgiveness, and second chances crumbled in an instant. I filed for divorce a week later. I was 35, tired, empty. But I knew it was time. And the strangest thing happened. The moment I signed those papers, I felt free. It wasn't joy. It wasn't revenge. It was release. Since then, I've started therapy. I've reconnected with old friends. I even joined Reddit, where thousands of strangers reminded me I wasn't alone. That healing is possible. And more than anything, I've been showing up for my kids, being present, being honest, being real.
I filed for divorce a week later. I was 35, tired, empty, but I knew it was time. And the strangest thing happened. The moment I signed those papers, I felt free. It wasn't joy, it wasn't revenge, it was release. Since then, I've started therapy. I've reconnected with old friends. I even joined Reddit, where thousands of strangers reminded me I wasn't alone. That healing is possible. And more than anything, I've been showing up for my kids, being present, being honest, being real. I, 28 man, met my ex, 27 man, during the absolute worst year of my life. I just moved to a new city, didn't know anyone, and honestly, I was lonely. Then he showed up. Funny, charming, a little reckless in a way that made me feel alive again. We clicked fast, too fast. Within 6 months, he'd moved into my apartment. Rent was split, but guess who paid for most of the stuff? Spoiler alert, it wasn't him. Our relationship was like a roller coaster, thrilling, intense, but constantly one sharp turn away from derailing. We fought, a lot. Sometimes it was over little things, like him forgetting to do the dishes. Other times it was big stuff, like catching him in lies about where he was. Still, I stayed, because when things were good, they were really good. Or at least, I convinced myself they were. About a year in, he wrecked his car while driving to a party. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But it left us with one car, mine, which meant for the next 6 months, I was his personal Uber. Pickups, drop-offs, last-minute shifts, whatever he needed. That's when I started seeing her. Let's call her Melinda. She worked at his job, 42 years old, bleach blonde, overdrawn eyebrows, and the fakest nice girl smile I've ever seen. I met her almost every week when I came to pick him up. She'd wave, sometimes make small talk. Turns out, she wasn't joking. The breakup wasn't even that dramatic. We were fighting all the time, and he said he needed to figure himself out. I was exhausted, so I agreed. I even drove him back to Boston so he could be with his family. Packed his stuff, filled the tank, and dropped him off with a hug. Told him I hoped he found peace. I didn't know peace was spelled Melinda. It wasn't until a few weeks later that the truth came out. Another girl messaged me, someone I'd never met. She told me she had been seeing my ex while we were still together. Apparently, she had no idea about me until after they broke it off. That's right, he cheated twice. And get this, the first time? It was with Melinda. I was shocked, angry, humiliated. I tried to reach out to Melinda just to get some kind of closure. She blocked me everywhere. I even made a burner to try again, just to ask why. She never responded. No apology, no ownership, nothing. I tried to move on, therapy, journaling, cutting contact. But then, 2 years later, there she was. Not just online, but blowing up. Turns out, Melinda had rebranded herself into a women's empowerment influencer. I'm talking full-on soft girl era, divine feminine, healing your inner child content. Hundreds of posts about choosing singlehood and loving yourself after toxic relationships. Her tagline? Helping women reclaim their power. I almost threw my phone. She had this whole video series about how men will tear you down and make you question your worth. One reel went viral where she talks about how she escaped a relationship where she was used and lied to. Used and lied to? By who, Melinda? You were the one texting my ex in the middle of the night while waving at me in broad daylight. She even started doing empowerment events for local girls. I watched her talk about self-respect and loyalty, and all I could think was, does she even believe this stuff? Or is it just content? Now, I'll be honest. I thought about revenge. I thought about posting screenshots, messages, maybe even a side-by-side comparison of who she pretended to be and who she really was. But what stopped me wasn't fear. It was clarity. See, people like her don't grow. They perform. They shapeshift into whatever gets them validation. And dragging her down, that would have made me just as fake as her. But that doesn't mean I'm staying silent. Because telling the truth, my truth, isn't revenge. It's freedom. I don't miss him. Not anymore. Not the real him. What I miss was the fantasy I built in my head. A future that never existed. And Melinda, she'll keep pretending. But one day, someone will see through it, just like I did. So if you're watching this, and you're in that kind of situation, where you're being gaslit, where the person you love turns out to be a stranger wearing a mask, walk away. You deserve peace. Not chaos disguised as passion. You deserve loyalty. Not apologies wrapped in lies. And you deserve healing that comes from within, not from someone else's fake platform. Thanks for sticking through my story. If you've ever had to deal with a betrayal like this, drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. You never know who you might help just by sharing. And if this video gave you even a little bit of strength, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe for more real stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss one. Until next time, choose peace. Always. Before I dive in, I just want to say, yes, I know what I did was kind of insane. Morally questionable? Probably. But trust me, I had my reasons. And in the end, it gave me the clarity I needed to finally walk away from something that was slowly breaking me. So, here goes. I was with my ex-boyfriend for almost 2 years. On paper, we looked great together. We had the same friend group, the same taste in music, and we even liked the same dumb food shows. But deep down, the relationship was full of red flags I kept choosing to ignore. Let's call him Matt. Matt wasn't some evil villain or anything, but he was the kind of guy who always made you feel like you were one step away from losing him, even when you were doing everything right. About 4 months into the relationship, I caught him deep liking bikini pics on Instagram. Not just random girls, but women we both knew. Co-workers, friends of friends, even one girl he swore he hated. And look, I'm not the kind of girlfriend who expects my partner to live in a cave. I get that social media is what it is, but this was constant. Every day, It was new likes, new comments, heart emojis, fire emojis, and not even subtle ones. So I brought it up, calmly. I told him it made me uncomfortable, and to me it crossed a line. His response, "You're overreacting. It's just the internet. It's not real." And just like that, the first crack in the foundation was made. I forgave him, stupidly. I wanted to believe he'd stop, but he didn't. Over the next year, the small cracks turned into full-blown fault lines. He would gaslight me during arguments, making me feel like I was crazy for asking for basic respect. If I brought up something he said that hurt me, he'd flip it around and accuse me of being too emotional or always starting drama. And somehow, every fight ended with me apologizing. But here's the part that pushed me to do something I never thought I'd do. It was a Saturday night. I was scrolling on my phone, and I saw a girl he went on a single date with years ago pop up in my suggested contacts. Let's call her Olivia. Matt always swore nothing happened with her, said she wasn't his type, that it was awkward, blah, blah, blah. But something about the way he said it, it never sat right with me. And that night, I had this wild, impulsive thought. What if I made a fake number and texted him pretending to be her? Not to catch him cheating. Not at first. Honestly, I thought he'd immediately tell me about it and prove me wrong. I wanted to be wrong. So I downloaded a texting app, made up a new number, and said, "Hey, it's Olivia. I know this is random, but I was thinking about you." And then I waited. 20 minutes later, I got the reply. "Hey, wow, been a minute. What's up?" My heart dropped. Not because he replied, but because he didn't tell me. He was literally sitting on the couch next to me, texting me, and texting Olivia at the same time. I pushed forward. "I was just thinking about that night we hung out. It was fun. Want to catch up sometime?" He replied, "I'm still with someone, but it's complicated. Complicated. Mind you, I was paying half the rent, cooking dinner, cleaning the house. And he was out here telling fake Olivia that our relationship was complicated." I kept going. I told him I didn't want to cause problems, but I missed talking to him, and he said, "Get this. It's all good. She starts fights over nothing. I'd be trying to leave, but it's just hard." At this point, I was shaking with rage and laughing. Laughing because it was so ridiculous. He was literally cheating with me. So I pushed one step further. "Do you want to hang out sometime this week?" He hesitated. Then, "Yeah, I'm down. Just let me know when." I took a deep breath. I screenshot everything, and I knew exactly what I had to do. The next morning, I told him I had errands to run and left the house. I packed every single one of his things into boxes and loaded them into my trunk. I texted him, "Hey, I'm on my way over. Be outside." He thought we were going to brunch. I pulled up. He walked over smiling. I rolled down the window and said, "Get in." He got in. I didn't say a word, just stared at him. After a full minute, he said, "What's going on?" Another 30 seconds of silence. Then, "Is this about Olivia?" I just looked at him and said, "What do you think this is about?" He started crying, immediately, like tears on command. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. It didn't mean anything." I replied, "Oh, I know it didn't, because it wasn't even her. It was me. You cheated on me, with me." His face completely white, like a ghost. I thought. "You thought you were being slick," I said. "Your stuff is in the back. Get out of my car." He begged, pleaded, said he loved me. But I was done. 2 years of gaslighting. 2 years of disrespect. 2 years of me putting him first while he made me feel like I was never enough. I watched him grab his boxes in silence. Then I drove off, and the second I turned that corner, I felt free, truly free. He's tried reaching out on burner accounts, made fake emails, sent letters, even tried to DM my friends, but I haven't responded. Not once. I deleted everything, blocked everything, because sometimes the closure you need is knowing that you did everything right and they still messed it up. So yeah, maybe catfishing your own boyfriend isn't in the dating handbook, but when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And if they won't give you honesty, go get your truth however you need to. Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever had to go to extreme lengths to find out the truth, drop your story in the comments. I promise you're not alone.